If you don't know the trope of an obsessed perfectionist, you may recognize it in movies like Whiplash, The Perfect Blue, the anime, Black Swan, which is allegedly a copy of Perfect Blue. Even, dare I say, Pearl, just someone, oftentimes an artist or sports player, just goes to extreme lengths to achieve perfection. They sacrifice their blood, energy, spirituality, mental health, of course, that's a given, to accomplish that feat. So for me, I guess my obsessed perfectionist is geared on the art side and trying to make it in the art world. I have put an immense amount of pressure on myself after graduation to get into the galleries, to get the grants, to get the residencies, and babes, I have been flopping so hard. I was running myself and my mental and my creative energy to the ground where I literally could not paint anymore. I would just sit in the studio for quite literally hours just staring at the floor, being like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm literally immobilized by like my own mental block of not being able to paint. I bet all this time, resource, energy to just pursue art for the next couple months, and what do I have to show for it? Zilch, babe, zilch. I've had so many opportunities fall through. Y'all know some of it, but let me just give a recap. Right before graduation, I got a call, and it was this gallerist who wanted to show my work, and they were like, you should make these awesome 6-foot paintings, and you'll have a solo show, make 6 of them, and we're good. I was like, okay, cool. We did a little handshake. There's no contracts involved, because I guess in the art world, unless you're like signed, there's not a contract, and asking for one could be seen as offensive, perhaps. I was taking the advice that I got to not ask for like any formal contract, especially because it's an alternative space, still very respected in the LA art scene. And 3 paintings in, like stressing myself the fuck out, trying to appease this person and trying to push my work and painting abilities to make the best things I've ever made. And I was working my ass off for a month, putting so many hours into the studio, practically putting all my eggs in this one basket. Why did I get so tunnel visioned? I have no idea. But by the 3rd painting, it was done. It was over. Like, just like that, in a text message, it was like, oh, it's not gonna work out. And from there, I try to keep it together. I try to just keep going. But between that moment and now, I've had so many people come through my studio and say positive things about the work, as well as a lot of things that are along the lines of, you're not ready. Oh, like when you're 30, you'll be so good. But right now, sorry, I don't know if this is right timing. And of course, like 90% of the feedback I got was positive, and I so appreciated that. But your mind only focuses on like the 10% that's not, and that's all you can think about. While I have searched for like barista jobs and stuff, nothing's come back. And so I've just had all this time to ruminate on those people and individuals saying certain things, and it just all got so much in my head where I just did not know what the fuck to do. So that's probably why I was literally just staring at the ground. Because I'm like, babe, like, where do I go from here? I'm paying all this money for a studio because I needed the wall space and ventilation to be able to paint those large-scale works. Ended up being that this place I subletted from was sublet under the table, and my friend didn't tell me that it was under the table, and so I thought I was going to get evicted. I didn't get evicted, but then now they're raising the rent on like our place, and so I have to get out of there. And there were all these other precautions that I had to go through in order to not get evicted / not get in trouble with the studio manager. So I was thrown into this weird situation that I thought was going to be good for me, that I thought would help me produce work for the show. Then the show didn't happen, almost got evicted, and da-da-da-da-da-da. And it was all just like an absolute shit show in my brain. But I kept my cool. I just kept pushing on, moving along. And also, I'm not making this video for sympathy. I do not want that. I knew full well exactly what I was getting myself into, pretty much, when I decided to pursue art. Everyone says like, oh, it's a hard industry to get into. You have to be absolutely exceptional according to institution standards or just people in positions of power. You have to hustle. You have to work your ass off, and then maybe you can be exceptional, and maybe you can be like that one person that just makes it. As I replay some inspiring conversations I've had with people, like I've said in other videos, what stands out to me the most is that the people who are successful and that I so respect and love and think are so talented did not wait for an opportunity to come to them, did not wait for someone else's approval in order to say, oh yeah, you can start doing art. They all took matters into their own hands and made something out of practically nothing, built a space for themselves, and are able to do like art for a living full time by having that initiative and drive to just try something new and not letting certain gatekeepers stop them from doing so. Another disclaimer: everyone who I'm like talking about in this video has been very kind to me. It's not like the galleries just like left me hanging or left me in the dust. Like, there were signs along the way when I was making those 3 paintings that it might not work out. I was fully well aware of that. It's just, of course, still disappointing when it doesn't work out. And as for the subletting situation with the studio, I did not get evicted, okay? So, like, that did not happen. It was just, like, a worry in the back of my mind that I had to think about. And keep in mind, when I was working towards all those goals, and still am working towards those goals, I am not hanging out with friends. I'm not drinking because I was training for the marathon and still am training for the marathon. I am stressing myself the fuck out, like literally waking up every single day at 5:30 a.m., having such a strict routine, like being so careful with what I eat because I was working towards these goals. And in my mind, it's like a sunk cost fallacy. And if you don't know what that is, a good example is, let's say you're in a relationship. I wouldn't know. We're in a relationship for like 2 years. It's not going well, okay? For the past year, you've been down in the depths, okay? This partner of yours is not vibing with you, y'all keep fighting, but you say in your brain, oh, I'll stay in this relationship even though it's bad for me because I already put 2 years into it. And all those 2 years would go to waste if I just left right now. And that's how I feel about this art and like marathon journey. It's like, I've already put so much time and effort and resources into it. If I just like took my foot off the gas just a bit, it would erase all the things that I did in the past 3-4 months. All the times I said no to people, all the times I chose not to drink or have fun and blah, 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 was for nothing if it doesn't amount into like a show or a grant or a residency. Because those are the metrics I set for myself in order to achieve. And those name accolades are what I deem as the perfection, like the thing I'm striving for and obsessed to strive for. Now, the thing about obsession is that oftentimes it replaces love and passion. So when I looked at art as a kid, I loved it with a passion. I would look at things and find so much joy in them. I would think about them constantly. I would draw my sketchbooks when I had free time. I was the silly, very stereotypical kid to draw eyes on their papers. Yes, I know, super embarrassing. Like finishing a test early and then drawing on the back, like being that kid. But I did it all out of love. However, as I've gotten more into like this art career thing, that love has slowly been fleeting, and instead in its place took the obsession part that is more concerned with like accolades or achievement and whatnot. That's definitely rooted in like capitalistic stuff. Like, babes, like you need to make money, okay? And like part of making money in the art world is like getting that gallery representation or getting that grant or residency. And so there are like other environmental factors that are pushing me to want to get these accolades, as well as just like social proof for other people, especially those like in my family or whatever, to know that what I'm doing is like real. Because a lot of people, when you tell them you do art, they're like, what is that? It is an abstract concept, and we're not taught that it is a career or something you can do when you're an adult. It's always like, oh, get a stable tech job, be a lawyer, be a doctor, and then maybe in your free time you can have fun and play with some paint. So being able to go home and tell like my family that I did this thing or I got this thing, it means something to them, and that means something to me. I may have touched upon this a bit, but it is very neoliberal to want to achieve and be like that genius or the exception. And that was ingrained for me very clearly from the beginning when I was growing up, especially in an Asian American household where I saw my family and my parents work their asses off to be able to give my sister and I like the opportunities that we had and the chance and the privilege to be able to pursue what we wanted to pursue is something I do not take lightly. It's something I take very much to heart. I don't think that's just the case for Asian American culture. I think it's very universal, but I see that a lot of my Asian American friends have a similar mentality in terms of just like that desperate need to work and to achieve in order to survive. And I grew up in the Bay Area in a very affluent town, not like a Beverly Hills, Calabasas kid. I still was like on financial aid at USC, okay? Like, but the property tax was super high, which meant the public schools were very well funded. Everyone there had parents that did tech. My parents didn't do tech, but I was in this like monoculture of people who just wanted to make money and pursue something very linearly. Like everyone was chasing for Ivy Leagues and they were trying to major in business or be a doctor or be a lawyer or be in tech. And I just wanted to like do art. To put in perspective the academic pressure that was placed onto kids in my high school, if you didn't get into a top 20 school, you were like a failure and like an embarrassment. Like you did not want to tell people your college unless you got into like Berkeley, UCLA, or an Ivy. You did not want to tell people your major if it wasn't STEM. And all that culture put me in the mentality of, oh, you need to work hard in order to succeed. Everyone else is working super hard around you, and if you aren't getting that accolade or standard, then like you put shame on like your family. Like there was this one subsection of like Korean kind of parents at my high school, and they would talk shit about the kids. Like the parents would talk shit about the kids if the kids weren't getting good grades or getting into good colleges. I didn't want to embarrass my family. I wanted to make them proud and all this other stuff. So now being able to tell them like, oh, even though this is a super abstract thing, maybe in your brains you could latch onto this thing that I got or this achievement that I got so that you know that I'm like doing something, that like your money, time, and energy that you poured into me was worth it. And so far it's not been worth it. So far it's not enough. I'm sorry if I'm like avoiding eye contact with y'all, by the way. I'm just like so uncomfortable, but I'm glad I'm talking about this because I feel like people just need to know, or maybe this is just like a video diary that will go nowhere. When I came out as gay or queer, they reacted like okay, I guess. Do you know in Marvel when like the timelines are all like perishing and you just have like this singular true timeline? I just imagine my parents' brain like the expected timeline of me marrying a woman, them having grandkids that are full Korean with the last name Park, just like perishing in front of like their brain, and they're just looking at me knowing that no matter what they say or do, I will not be able to give what they were expecting, what they were hoping for, and what their families were hoping for. Because again, this is like a spiritual thing, like continuing the bloodline, making sure all the generations before you didn't go to waste. There's absolutely nothing I can do in order to compensate for that. But I'm trying, you know what I mean? Like through accolades and like achievement, I am trying to compensate for that and assure them that I have value. I don't know they think that I have value and like they love me and stuff like that, but it's just like another pressure. And I feel like a lot of queer people experience this, which is why you get this like idea of queer exceptionalism. I don't think I'm using that term correctly maybe, but a lot of people from minority backgrounds feel the need to somehow compensate for what their identity fails to bring in a white, patriarchal, phallocentric, heteronormative society and achieve to the fullest extent to prove to everyone that actually I do have value. I need to put respect back on my name through all these achievements. So I've been trying to do that, like working my butt off. I did it all throughout high school. I tried my best. If I was gonna do something, I tried to be the best at it. I was trying to be the best soccer player. I was trying to be the student body president. I was trying to do all these clubs, organizations, and start a webcomic account. And then after I went to college, I didn't get into a top 20 school. USC is not a top 20 school, so I like failed basically. Like imagine this, okay? As a student body president, especially at a high school like mine, you're expected to go to an Ivy. And if you don't, it's like what the fuck were you doing in high school because you had that title in your application. So like how could you fuck up so bad that you didn't get into an Ivy? The student body president before me went to Harvard when I only got into USC and got rejected from literally 14 of the 17 schools I applied to pretty much. It was like a public failure because everyone kept asking like, oh, what college did you get into? Wow, I'm like weaving random timelines into this and I don't know if this is coherent at all. But anyways, in college, I was like, okay, even though this isn't a top 20, let me just make the most out of it. So I did the internships while I was in school. I was very, very, very privileged enough to have financial aid, scholarship, and family that basically covered my college experience. So I didn't have to worry about making enough money to pay for my tuition necessarily, but I was still working because I did social media, which I got really lucky with y'all and like a random community that helped me get sponsorships and helped me make the money that I needed to like pay for stuff. Also the immense privilege to know that if I didn't have that, I would have a family to fall back on. I did everything I could to get the Yale residency and to get a scholarship. And every time I really wanted an award or thing, I thought that if I got it, it would help, you know, but it didn't. And that's part of like the obsession with like achievement, that it's like literally an insatiable crave because nothing's ever good enough, because there's always another prodigy that you're seeing online. So that mode of like comparison obviously is like ingrained in me. So now that I'm like out of college trying to pursue art, trying to do the marathon stuff, I'm seeing all like these other amazing artists that were in that Yale program that got it, and now they're doing like awesome things like year-long residencies, grants, getting art shows, going to the art fairs. One person is literally getting their MFA at Oxford. For some reason, always look at the person above me, above, again, quotation marks, because this should not be like a hierarchical thing. It should be like, oh, we're all just artists in a community. It's a horizontal structure. We're all in it together. Like, let's just make fun stuff. But of course, the world is not set up that way. So in order to achieve, you have to unfortunately not be idealistic and oftentimes play into the systems that you were brought up in. And thinking about all this, like the weight of everything, is not good for my health. Like literal my physical health or mental health. I oftentimes just wake up like panting or like a cold sweat from a nightmare that I have. Out of the 7 nights in a week, at least 5 I have nightmares. And usually I don't even remember what they're about. Like I do when I wake up, but then I just forget it 30 minutes later. Luckily, and funny enough, I actually bought a running watch, so I have like my heartbeat monitor. And when I wake up, my heart rate's at like an 85 or like 90, and my resting is usually 52. So I know something's like up. If it's up, then it's stuck, you know? What's crazy is that I feel like I'm very grateful. Like I constantly look back at the experiences I've had and I'm like, why was I the one to like get the internship or get the residency? Like what's so special about me? How thankful and grateful am I to be, how like privileged am I to have these problems? How lucky am I to have gotten the support from faculty, jurors, and peers to be able to get those awards and whatever? And how beyond grateful am I to have y'all as a community always grounding me and always being there to support whatever endeavors or funky things I have in mind. There's so much I am grateful for, but then the fact that I keep wanting more, it makes me second guess like, oh, am I truly grateful? Because if I was grateful, wouldn't I be content? Or wouldn't I be comfortable enough to just be happy? But I'm not, ? And I don't necessarily think those two things are mutually exclusive. Like the desire for more and being grateful for what you have. Literally don't know what's happening. I'm so tired and exhausted. Trying to psychoanalyze myself at the same time while experiencing these emotions. And the thing is, I wouldn't say I'm depressed or have anxiety. I have been around people that do have those mental health issues, and those aren't labels I like to adopt so quickly. Again, I don't think my case was so severe that I get the ability to say I'm depressed, you know what I mean? Which is also crazy because I have literally been diagnosed with depression, but I just still don't want to adopt that label. Not for any other reason, simply that I don't think I am. But I'm starting to think I am. I know that my baseline is very low in terms of happiness, but I get happy. Like when I'm with friends, like I can like laugh and stuff, sure. Only once in a while would there be like a huge drop in happiness where I'm like, oh shit, am I depressed? But then it'll pick back up and I forget about it. But then lately, like those dips have been more frequent and I'm like, oh shit, like maybe I need help. I don't know. I don't want to glamorize crashing out or the obsessed perfectionist, because look at me. I look like shit. I feel like shit. And I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And that's another reason why I didn't film for so long, was because I've just been so insecure where I don't want to film. Like I don't want people to look at me. I don't want people to like judge me. I've just been so like caught up in how I look recently, because just things that happen in like personal life that are very normal, I guess. Just in general, like I've never felt good about how I looked. And it's all starting to magnify with how I feel about other things in my life not going well. Because I always told myself, oh, if I don't look good, at least I can have like a good career. And maybe that will be of value somehow. But if the career part isn't going well, and I don't look good, and I can't run, it's like, well, like what do I have? Nothing. That's a lie. That's not true. I have like so many friends and like so many people supporting me if I just asked and reached out, and I have y'all, which is so sweet that y'all stick around still. But I did just want to open up to y'all. I feel like I open up a lot on YouTube, and I don't want this again to be like a little pity party. This is not what it's about. It's that I post a lot on TikTok or Instagram or even here about the wins that I have. And rarely ever do I so perhaps intimately, or at least for this long, about how I feel trying to pursue the thing I'm pursuing. So that's the video, y'all. I hope you were entertained. I don't know where to go from here. Before I truly end like the video, I want to leave off on like a positive note because there are a lot of positive things and I always trying to have like a good message maybe at the end of these things, but things that I'm super looking forward to in the future that I'm grateful for, again, gratitude, is one, I shipped out a bunch of ceramic PB Tigers and I'm so beyond excited for y'all to get them in the mail and for y'all to just send me pictures of you putting it on your desk or talking to it if you want to do that. I do that. And even better, I have more ceramic PB Tigers on my website if y'all want to purchase it and get one of your own. Now, do not purchase one out of pity or feeling bad for me because, babe, I do not need that energy. But if you truly want one, a fun trinket to put on your desk or to just be a paperweight, go for it. It's a little friend maybe that you could have if you need another friend who doesn't talk back at you, who will listen. Another thing, I'm doing a little lecture at Berkeley, which is pretty fun, but I'm building out the lecture right now. It's going pretty good and I'm really excited to just say hello to the students, hello to the girls. It's just like a one-day thing that I'm super excited about, so I'm gonna go back to the Bay Area to just give a little talk. Fingers crossed that goes well. Also, I am on the up and up and I want to record and document me kind of picking myself back up, so I will definitely do that in future videos. But for this one, I think that's it. If you like this video, like the video. If you have fun, comment, critique, or joke to share, comment down below. Also, if you have just an experience or story of your own, I would love to just hear and listen to what y'all have to say. And it doesn't even have to be about me. Like, I just want to hear what y'all are up to and how you relate to these ideas or don't. I'll try to respond to everyone, but if not, I definitely read the comment. And if you like me, my art, want to follow my journey as an artist in LA, you can subscribe. It's a fun time here. And I think that's the end of the video, y'all. That's the end of the video.